I've been showing you how I use Evernote as a productivity tool, but how do I decide when and what to do? It's finally time to talk about time. And time means calendar, right? In today's video, I'll be using Google Calendar, but most of what I'll show you will work with other apps. I'll start with a quick overview of my setup, and then we'll move to my system. I have clients and family in several countries, and Google Calendar time zone tools help me a lot. Let's say this month I'm having a lot of meetings with Evernote in California. Let's go here to the settings and display secondary time zone. Now I can select here Pacific time, Los Angeles. I can label it San Francisco. If we go back to the calendar now, check this. Now I have two timelines. I know that it is 11 a.m. here, but only 3 a.m. in California. Isn't that cool? Unfortunately, I can have only one additional timeline, but there's another option. Let's go back to the settings. Here I can set word clocks. I'm gonna set one for Europe Central, another one for United States East Coast, and São Paulo. Let's go back, and now we have 3 additional clocks. Almost 11 here, almost 3 a.m. in California, almost midday in Belgium, New York is almost 6, and São Paulo almost 7. It makes things very easy to set up a meeting. I usually get around with these options, but there's a third one. Let's say I have an appointment here, new appointment, more options. I can choose the time zone of the person and set it from here. I don't like this option because I cannot see both time zones, but I use it a lot when I'm planning my travel itinerary. I just select the country I'm going to and plan it using the time zone from that country. The last setting I would like to show you is the default duration of an event. I have it set to 50 minutes. You'll soon understand why. There are 2 types of entries on my calendar: strict commitments and work blocks. Business meetings, dinner with a friend, doctor appointment, payment due date, anything that has a specific date and time is on my calendar. This is how I think of it. If I don't do it on that date, there will be a penalty. I'll miss the opportunity to be with a friend, I'll miss a doctor appointment, I may spend more because of late payments. Anything with a penalty is in my calendar. I don't use tasks for that. There are 2 things I would like to show you. I will never schedule a meeting or a section with a client right after the one that comes before it. If I have a new client here, I will give at least half an hour. This one finishes 11:20. This one starts 11:30. No, that's not good, so I would do something like this. Another thing I do is block some time after and before events, like live streaming that I have to prepare myself before it, or if I have to drive or go somewhere else. I would do something like this. I would create a blocked entry. This is what I do. I create a fake entry, change the color to this darker color, and save it. Let's say this is a live. The size will depend on what I'm doing, but you got the idea. This will make it clear to me that I cannot book anything after or before that entry. Now that I have all the appointments that I cannot change the date and time, I'll start blocking time for my weekly activities. Let's start with something none of us like to do. I like to work on all my payments in the same day. So let's say 9 o'clock. Payments is monthly on the first Monday. Okay? This is May. June, we have here first Monday, the 6th. Here it is. Let's set here now my videos. Let's say I'm gonna work from 9 to 11 video. And this will happen every Wednesday. It repeats weekly. Okay, now I have 3 days with time blocked to work on my videos. If we go to the future, we'll see those days. I'll never ever plan on a specific video using the calendar. And the same is true for all the work blocks. I do that on Evernote, and there's a video here on the channel explaining how I do it. So when time comes, I'll go to Evernote and check what I have to do. To be honest, to go to Evernote is not a thing anymore. I'm already there. The calendar is there. All the entries are there. Check that other video and you understand it. Now that I have a real representation of all my activities, I can have a real sense of how much I'm dealing with. At this point, many of my clients finally realize that time is actually a thing. Can you see the difference between having time attached to an activity and having a to-do list with no representation of how long that will take? More often than not, a task creates the illusion that we can deal with it with less time it actually takes. Adding more and more items to a due today list is lying to yourself and lying to others. There's no way to get the time blocks right on the first attempt, so pay attention to reality. If you notice that you need more time for an activity, make that block longer from that day on. And the same, of course, is valid for what you need less time. Did you notice the free spaces on the calendar? It's time to talk about if this, then that. No. Not that one. This one. Imagine the frame is the time we have. There's no way to change it. The pieces inside are our appointments in the calendar. If something not planned comes up, I have the opportunity to confront it with the reality. We have a time border here, and we have to work with the time we have. It's really important to learn how to say no, because we don't have control over time. The entries on a calendar make that really clear. Here's how it works. Say a new client asks to meet with me Friday the 19th. I'll check my schedule and ask, can you do it 3:30 or 4 p.m.? If he says yes, I'm good. But let's pretend he told me he can only do it 10 a.m. And now I'm confronted with reality. Just because I have a new meeting, the time it will take me to work on my video didn't disappear. I'll spend the same time doing that. I need the time to finish the video. In other words, if I need to use a space in the calendar, I have to find another space for what is already there. What I'll do here is grab this video block and move it, say, to 2:30. Google Calendar will ask me if I want to change this event, all the events like this one, or from here on. I'm going to choose this event. If we go to the next week, everything is just like before. The only change happened here. And now I can set the meeting here. The weekly work blocks will help you create habit. That's why it's important to move just the one you need to move. They also help you have a sense of what you have to do, but they are more flexible than a strict commitment, and it's easier to move them around. And here's a trick to help you move things around. Say I want to see all my days from the 19th to the 23rd. Click here and drag it to the 23rd. Now I have those days on the main calendar, and it's easier to move things around. No, I'm not meeting you on a Saturday. Let's do it Monday. Now watch this other video to learn how all this connects with Evernote. And of course, this was just the first video about this topic. To learn more, subscribe to the channel. See you soon.